What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to Down to the Wire. I'm your host, Brian Costa, and I am so glad to be back on with you guys. We have got a great show in store for you. We're going to be talking a lot about the Boston Celtics and the absolutely insane run that they've been on, and also talk about some other things going on in the NBA, and also do a little NFL minute as well. I am really excited to get back into doing the show. I wrapped up my first full spring semester of grad school. I got some summer classes that'll lead into next fall, but I am finally glad to say that I am through that. And hopefully throughout the summer, I'll be able to get some more content out to you guys. So I'm really excited about that. But first of all, I want to welcome back a special guest of the show. He has been on. He's one of, I'm probably the most recurring guest at this point. There's maybe a couple others that might have some more than him, but he is a very established veteran to the show. Very glad to welcome him back. Chris Dring, how you doing?
Doing great, Brian. Thank you. Thank you for asking me to be on the show today. I was just on having my last show of the year. So
I know, yeah. Wrapping up the dog talk. You guys are
yeah,
heading into your senior year.
I know it's crazy. It
Yeah.
really is. It doesn't really feel real right now that we're gonna be senior. It really hasn't hit me yet, but I'm sure I'm gonna be feeling it next year.
Yeah.
As it comes towards the end.
Yeah. Where are you guys going to be living now next year?
K block.
Okay.
K5.
Nice. Obviously, for people that aren't people that might listen to this, not from Bryant, that means nothing to them. But for the people that do that,
yeah,
it's a little little interesting tidbit. But no, I was actually listening to the end of your show. I was in the lobby, kind of picking up on that. And you guys are talking about like, oh my God, senior year, it's gonna be a blast. It's gonna be this. And I was just like getting like the nostalgia wave of like my friends and all that stuff talking before senior year. And I just want to say, man, enjoy it. It's a ton of fun. Of all the years, it probably does fly by the fastest. Just it's crazy, and you're gonna have a ton of fun, man.
Yeah, I'm excited, man, because we're now at the top. We are the seniors. We're no longer underclassmen. I mean, well, we're technically not really this year, I guess. But
yeah,
it's a completely different feeling, and I don't know, I'm just excited to spend one more year. I'm kind of ready to be done with school, but one more year to spend with just like all the good friends I have here is just pretty nice. So I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I mean, you're a communication major, right? Or
no, I'm an accounting major.
Oh my God, wait,
I just do a lot of stuff involved with communications. I'm not actually a
no, that's terrible for you,
man. Zeke, man.
Yeah, that's crazy. So yeah, I probably am thinking a little bit of Zeke, but I thought you had some communication ties as well.
I was thinking about doing it, but I decided not to because I don't know, but I'm so all over the place. I have so many different things that are not really related, but it is what it is. So.
Yeah. Hey man, I'm not gonna fault you. Keep yourself like well rounded. That's awesome. I just got done with accounting for the first time in the fall, and then finance for the first time in the spring. Somehow, by being a comm major and a marketing minor, I was able to avoid both those classes during my time at undergrad.
That's crazy. I can't believe that.
Yeah,
that's crazy that you're able to get out of that.
I would sell that to people, and they would, and because I'd be like, oh my God, I hate numbers, I hate Excel, I can't even do it. And they'd be like, well, how'd you pass accounting or finance? I'm like, I never took it. And they're like, what do you mean?
That's kind of crazy. I didn't expect that, honestly.
So the first time I ever took those classes was in graduate school, and I was just in for like, that was just a rude awakening, to say the very least.
I mean, it's either I don't want to say you know it or you don't, but like a lot of the time with accounting, like I know some people who I kind of understood it pretty well, at least when I took it. That's why I chose it to be my major. But some people I know they're horrible at accounting. They're never going to take it again. And some people kind of like me were like, they understood it, but it's tough, but I'm getting there. So
yeah, I mean, I'm trying to figure it out the best I can. Luckily, I don't think I have to take any more of those classes throughout my time at
finance. Is tough though. I did not like finance that much.
Yeah. I think going into this summer, I have a marketing class, which I'm like, okay, I've done that before. I feel kind of comfortable. But then also I know I have coding, which is going to be, that's going to kick my ass. That's going to be awful.
Yeah. I'm taking some intro to programming elective next semester because it's kind of interesting.
Okay.
I feel like it'll be helpful.
Yeah.
But I don't know how to code. I've never done anything with coding. Like I've seen people do it, but I don't know anything about it.
Never done it in my life. And
don't know.
I remember I walked into my finance class this spring, and the guy, he just goes like, yeah, if you haven't done Excel, just learn Excel. And it's like, that's not a simple thing to tell people.
Yeah, that's crazy right there.
Yeah.
just learn Excel. Like can't do that, man.
You can't. So
I'm not even that good at Excel, honestly. Like I took ISA, I knew some stuff, but like
I mean, I took ISA too, but that was my sophomore year, which is coming up on 4 years ago now.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So I don't know how like that's gonna end up going, but I'm
Yeah.
excited for it nonetheless. Glad to get into the summer. Before
So
we,
excited for summer, man.
yeah,
Oh my gosh.
yeah, I need it. I need it
I need
badly.
it, man.
Because even though I'm gonna be here, like it will be a different kind of mindset. Because I've just been in like the grind of like covering stuff for like social medias for Brian Athletics, doing the SID stuff.
No, I was gonna say I've seen you walking around everywhere, man. You've been in like in the offices, at the games, like
Yeah.
yeah,
That's the job, man. Because I
yeah.
was in charge of 5 sports this year. It was men's lacrosse, volleyball, track and field, and then the men's and women's golf teams.
Oh
So
wow.
I covered all of those this year. But then I was also kind of just lending a hand wherever they needed me. So sometimes you'd see me out at like baseball or softball
Yeah,
or even football. Like football is all hands on deck, so they just need you there
yeah.
regardless.
Football.
So it was just, I was really all over the place. So it'll be kind of nicer in the summer, get to take a little bit of a break from
Yeah.
having to like
Oh
run all
yeah.
that stuff. But I won't be away from sports entirely because I'll be back with the Worcester Red Sox doing that
Oh,
again.
nice.
So
Awesome. Yeah.
I'm gonna be around sports in
Cool.
some capacity.
I'm doing what I did last summer too. Got a nice media job with the Newport Gulls.
That's awesome.
It's not paid, but it's a lot of experience in an
Yeah.
A-League. I've gotten opportunities that I've gotten money from doing that.
Yeah.
It's exciting. Third year. They won the chip last year, hoping they can go back to back. Last year was awesome. So
Yeah, that's
I don't know.
fantastic.
We'll see. Season starts in about a month, slightly less. So
Okay. Yeah. So I know before we start talking about the Celtics and all that stuff, I know that on your show you had mentioned something which actually I had caught my attention, just despite working in Brian Athletics and and having like inside scoops to all that, I didn't pick up on the fact that in Bryant basketball news,
yeah,
Rafael
yeah.
Pinzone is coming back to Bryant. He's
Yep.
leaving the transfer portal and coming back to Bryant. He's going to be joining Earl Timberlake and hopefully trying to get Bryant back into the mix in the America East playoffs this next year. So
Yeah.
obviously Bryant kind of fell apart near the end with Earl breaking his hand against NJIT.
Brutal.
Um,
Brutal.
brutal injury, but we were able to get that first round win
Sucks.
over Maine. But now, we got bounced by UMass a little, but now we go into a whole new kind of season with them. We get those guys back for one more year. What are your overall thoughts on this team now with those guys coming back?
I like it. It seems like it's not that we're in a rebuild, but it's just a little bit of a culture shift with Grosso being gone.
Yes.
I like Martelli. I think he's a good coach for this program. I really think as much as I love Sharif Gross Bullock and I notice how talented the guy is, I think him leaving is definitely, I feel like it's going to help the team a little bit because
Sure.
as much as, he's a great player and everything, I personally believe that him being their best player was they were never going to be good enough just because of just his play style.
Yeah.
And Rafael Pinzone showed some great flashes towards the end of the year.
He shows some
And
great flashes. He dropped, what was it, 35 points against UMaine?
something like that. It was
Yeah.
crazy. It was at least 30
Yeah.
over that. And
No, he
he
was
had a
on.
couple games that were close, like 20, like high 20s. And that was a great sign. I mean, I'm glad he's gonna come back. And unfortunately, we were talking about this before. Unfortunately, Rivera is gone, committed to UMass. So good for him. A10 school, good for him. Hopefully, wishing him the best. But I hope that Martelli can recruit some guys, maybe get a decent team going because right now we don't really have a team. So we got like 3 or 4 guys.
Yeah,
About it. So
it's pretty bared right now, to be completely
it's a
honest with
completely
you.
new start, fresh start. So
Yeah, which honestly,
excited.
I'm glad that he's going to have the opportunity to build his squad and get his guys in the
Oh
room,
yeah,
because I mean, it was a lot of Grosso guys remaining over from the old guard.
it was
I mean,
everybody. No,
yeah, it was
yeah,
everyone. No one. It was too late for anyone to transfer, so
yeah,
everyone basically stayed. And I think that Earl, like he's kind of like although he comes across more like on the silent side,
mhm,
he is kind of a leader by example, similar to kind of what Chuck was in a sense, where he's not going to be overly vocal, but
yeah,
just the way he conducts himself on the court will impact the actions of his fellow teammates. And then Raf, I don't really know too much about him on a personal level, so I
yeah.
can't
No,
really speak on that, but the production that he was putting forth at the end of the season is really promising. I got to say, like,
yeah, for sure.
with the shots dropping and just being able to be a weapon from range, like even in the UMass Lowell game where we ended up losing, I think by a pretty decent margin, he was
Yeah,
just
that was
he
tough.
he was just popping shots like relentlessly. So I mean, like I don't want to say it's like a Peter Kiss kind of thing, because Kiss didn't even really have that level, that great of a
I don't think
3-point
it's really
shot.
that type of thing, but it's kind of
But
similar. I
but
don't know.
I'm not saying he could be like a Peter Kiss type, but I'm saying more that he has the ability to be the guy and take over a game if need be.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Which,
I definitely see that in him. Yeah, for
yeah.
sure.
Am I saying that he's going to go out and do push-ups on the court and do all the extra stuff?
That was still crazy.
God,
But
no. I'm not saying he's going to
yeah,
do that.
definitely.
But I think that what we saw in those couple games is that if he needs to, and if the team needs that out of him, he can go and he can take over a basketball game, which we
We
saw.
saw it.
Yeah, exactly. So I
We
think
saw it.
that's really a promising thing to see. And then I know also we just got a transfer in from St. Bonaventure,
Yeah.
Barry Evans. I got to be completely honest with you. I know that Charles Pride, I think, had some influence in that. The fact that,
Some.
yeah, well, let's say he had plenty of influence in it. I
I've
mean,
never heard the guy, so I'm not sure. I don't even know what position he is. I didn't even look at his stats, but I'm sure if Pride told him to come here, I'm sure he's a good guy, good player.
yeah.
Sure, Martelli approved of it, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know. I'm excited to see the new commits. I really am because, like we are saying, brand new team.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
it's exciting.
I'll be interested to see it, just knowing that like the week that like leading into when he committed, Chuck took him on the visit here.
I've seen, dude.
Like
Craziest thing, I've seen Charles Pride on campus like at least 3 or 4 times in the
well,
past couple months.
there's a reason for that. So
Oh yeah,
at the Lil Tecca concert,
I saw him walking around.
I ran into him there.
I did too.
I ran into him there, and I
That's great.
me and Chuck were in the same major going here, so like we kind of knew of each other. So I saw him, I like dapped him up. I said, hey,
Mhm.
like I was like, how's basketball going? Just like keeping tabs, stuff like that.
Cool.
And afterwards, like I said, like, oh, like how's stuff going with like school and whatnot? And he goes, honestly, man, great. Like I'm basically done because all of his classes were online.
Oh, that's
So
nice.
as soon as
Good for him.
basketball season ended, there was really no need for him to be at the school. Like he could
Oh
train
wow.
and do all that stuff, but it's not like
Yeah.
he doesn't have any more eligibility, so he really doesn't have to have any ties to that school. So once he was done, that's why you've seen him around here so much.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That makes
Mhm.
a lot of sense.
So I'm glad
Yeah.
he's doing well. I mean,
I did
it's
see him in the concert. I don't know how he stuck his way in there, but
I I got to be honest with
his
you, man.
ID must have worked.
No, I found out some ways that people got in because even some of my friends from undergrad that graduated last year and have no affiliation with the university anymore were able to get into that show.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I didn't even
I'll
know.
tell you a little bit after the show
Yeah.
as to how
We
that
don't
happened.
we don't want to disclose anything for legal
Yeah,
reasons. But
it was pretty funny though.
that's just cool. I just wanted to say that I did see him too. I saw you could just because he's so tall, you could see him walk.
Yeah,
is that who I think it is? And it's
yeah,
like, yeah, it was.
it was a good time.
It's cool.
But
Cool.
I'm really happy about that. It'll be interesting to see how that era of basketball comes to fruition next year. So I'm really excited about that. But
Yeah, me too.
in terms of pro basketball, we got the Boston Celtics. They just in their game last night, they beat the Cleveland Cavaliers 120-95 to go up 1-0 in their second round series. Obviously, just kind of break down the game for me, Chris. What are your overall thoughts out after game one of that series?
I think it was pure domination by the Celtics for the most part. They were up early, they kind of blew it a little bit, and then they just took off in the second half. This series should go no more than 5 games, especially with Jared Allen not out, not playing. Rather, they say he's got a rib problem. It just is funny to me because Jason, obviously, I mean, we're going to talk about this, but Jason Tatum has not been playing very well, and partially the reason for that is he can't shoot threes very well right now. The other reason for that is that if you look at the defense, they're all trying to guard him. And so someone else is open, and that someone is Derek White.
Yes.
Derek White is playing out of his mind right now.
He is
the best role player in the NBA.
It's not even a role player at this point. He's considerably a star of the team at this point.
He was, I don't know if he was their leading scorer. He was pretty damn close to the leading scorer in the first round. I think Jaylen Brown had him beat by a slight margin.
Yeah.
But
I mean, he had 38 points in one game against the Heat.
Like, he was the reason why they won that game.
Yeah, he was unbelievable. So I mean, like after kind of looking at this, like again, like we'll talk about Tatum's performance in general, but with everything kind of going the way it is, do you think there's even another team in the East that can challenge the Celtics at this point? Because like you're saying that this series won't go any more than 5 games.
No.
Miami, who realistically gave us fits last year, but after this, like after we beat them in 5, like we beat them pretty handily.
Easily.
Yeah. Is like
franchise record for threes is why they lost game 2.
Like, do you think Brunson and the Knicks or, like Indiana can pose like any sort of a threat? Cause like Indiana, I'd say no, but I don't know. New York, I'm like, there's always kind of a thing with that.
Hmm.
Like, I don't know. But again, they're missing so many pieces right now.
Yeah.
So it's like they're in a tough spot as well.
Um, I'd say no on Indiana. I like the Pacers. I like their young squad.
Yeah.
No, Tyrese Halliburton's not playing well. They sh- they should have won game one against the Knicks.
Yeah.
The Knicks, however, I could see them making a run because they're pretty good on defense.
Okay.
I could see them making maybe a challenge, but I think the Celtics should easily win the East.
Maybe they take it. Maybe they take it to like 6.
I could see them taking 6. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be an easy fight against the Knicks.
Maybe they take the games in New York and like we have to win like ours here.
Madison Square Garden, man, that place is crazy. I went for the first time this year. I actually went to a Knicks game this season with one of my friends who's a Knicks fan.
Yeah.
It's like I want to go to the place. I've never been.
Mhm.
And that place was rocking. It was some random Tuesday game against the Blazers, and they blew them out, and it was still rocking. So
that's awesome.
Oh yeah, people were going crazy in the streets afterwards, even though it was raining.
Yeah.
And
I
it was
I
can't even imagine
I'm
what it's
dating
like right now.
I'm dating myself with this, but like whenever I would watch like the Side Talk NYC clips on YouTube and
Saw a couple of those recently.
Yeah, and just see them after games, it's like, oh, like these people are just borderline insane.
It's crazy.
During like the whole Trae Young like saga and everything going on with that, like
did you see the Philly takeover when they took over the arena?
Mm-hmm.
Sixers had to purchase tickets and give them out to people to get Sixers fans to go to the game.
Yes.
Can't believe that.
It was so
Knicks
bad.
fans took over. Oh, we got some breaking news.
Ooh, break it.
The MVP of the 2023 to 24 season, Nikola Jokic.
Wow.
Denver Nuggets.
Big surprise.
Shocker. Shocker.
What is this now? His third?
I think so, man. Like
Jesus.
it's I forgot they were announcing it now.
That's crazy.
But yes, 3 times, 9th player ever. Shocker. I mean, the dude is unbelievable.
Well, we'll be talking about Jokic, especially in a couple minutes as well.
But yeah, so that's sidetracked. But the answer is I think the Knicks can challenge. I don't think the Pacers stand a chance.
Okay.
They can't play defense. So but I think the Celtics should, I don't know about easily, but handily win the East.
They should win the East.
Without Porzingis, by the way.
Yes.
I don't think that's that big because I mean, again, the Knicks are missing Randall, so that's a big problem. Like
Mhm.
they don't go deep into the bench either. It's really like a 6-7 man rotation.
Yeah.
And with Robinson out too now, I don't know. I don't see the Knicks winning that series.
Yeah, because
no way.
Well, and you mentioned Porzingis, which was a question I was going to ask as well, and it's the fact that, like, as much as Porzingis has been huge for us this year, and I'm so glad that we made the trade, that we traded Marcus Smart for him. Like, despite what
they won every trade.
Yes, they literally won
Not
every
close.
single trade. Like, no matter what the fan base thought of Marcus Smart going into this season, they have to admit that that was the correct deal to make. And the only doubts I had on us picking up Kristaps Porzingis was what we run into now was the fact that he could potentially break down towards the end of the year. Now,
same here.
Regular season, he got us to this point. He got us the first seed, and we're cruising right now. Even without him, the expectation should still be to win a championship. Obviously,
easily. Yeah.
Obviously, the path to do so is incredibly easier with him in your lineup, but even without it, you're still fine at that position. I think that you can, still be okay.
Mm-hmm.
But the one thing that I do have concerns over, however, is the performance of Jason Tatum. He's like you said, he's been performing he's just been very under par, he's just been very much underperforming these past couple games. I think I have some stats here. He's just averaging 17 points over his last 2. I think he had 18 in one, 16 in another. He hasn't recorded 20.
I didn't know it was that bad.
He hasn't recorded 25 plus points since Boston's game 2 loss to the Heat, where he had 28 points. And he hasn't had a single 30-point game the entire playoffs.
It's a little bit concerning, I'm not going to lie. But however, like I was mentioning before, if you look at the pictures and the videos, every team's game plan is to stop Jason Tatum. That's the game plan. And that is leaving Derek White, Jaylen Brown, these other guys opportunities. Derek White is he's such a clutch player. He's the most clutch player on their team. Yeah. I will stand by that. He forced game 7 last year that they should have won if Tatum didn't get hurt, but that's another story. But yeah, see the defenses, when you think Celtics coaches, you got to stop Jason Tatum. And he's in a little bit of a shooting slump right now.
Mm-hmm.
I hope he'll get out of that because, in the later rounds, we need him to get out of that.
Mm-hmm.
But it just shows how talented this team is, man. Like you have
without your bona fide star player at his best, you can still blow teams out.
They still won by 25 And we're talking about on my show about point spreads, and it's
Yeah.
like double digits. It's like 12 or 13
Mhm.
for a playoff game, second round playoff game.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. It really is. It's so we'll see.
Yeah, it
We'll
really
see.
is. It really is unbelievable, and you do have to give it up to them. But you do have to have some concern over Tatum because I know that this
Yeah.
was an issue for him a couple years ago where I think it was the year that we went to the finals against the Warriors. He had that shoulder injury that everyone really couldn't figure out what was going on, and that kind of haunted him into that series. So who knows if it's an injury, if
Yeah.
he's just in a slump. If it's an injury, obviously that's more concerning. If it's a slump, then just knowing Tatum and who he is, you have to assume that he will get out of it. But if this is something like the lingering shoulder injury that he had in 2022, that
Ugh.
could be an issue for us.
I don't really know if he's hurt. I can't really tell if he's playing injured right now. He just can't shoot for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
He just seems off.
Well,
I don't know.
and this is the thing that bugs me about Jason Tatum specifically is the fact that he doesn't need to be this prolific shooter in order to score points. When he wants to and he decides to drive to the basket, no one's realistically stopping him besides a big man.
He's 6'9".
Yeah.
Like just like driving the basket. Like you're
Embiid-
not Steph Curry, bro.
Like again, is there anyone
Crazy.
is there anyone in the East that can stop Tatum driving to the rim? I don't think so. Because like you said,
Left in the playoffs? Absolutely not.
yeah,
No.
no, exactly. Because like you said, Embiid is out of the
I was
playoffs.
gonna say
Bam, we beat him.
Giannis
Giannis like
injured
yeah,
out of the playoffs.
and so and the other thing too is like you mentioned Jared Allen. So like he's not there
playing.
either. Exactly. So
Yeah.
there's not really anyone on that side in our conference that can stop him if he wants to just go to the rim and score there. But
Yeah.
for some reason he just doesn't have it in his game to be like, all right, I'm going to attack here. He always just wants to pull up and take 3-pointers. And
you know what is? I sorry to interrupt. But I just want to mention this. His mid range is very good. When
Yes.
he's on. He doesn't do that anymore.
no,
A couple of years ago, he was like in that series against the Nets where they swept him. He was shooting so many mid ranges. They were all going in.
well, it's all about it. That's all about analytics. Is the fact that analytics killed mid range because it's either you want to score with dunks near the basket or you're bombing threes.
Pretty much.
Like that is
Pretty
the
much.
game. And unfortunately for Tatum, he needs to realize that if the jump shot isn't falling, which it isn't, I mean, great, like 16 points is what Derek White should be scoring in these games, and we'd still be saying he's having a great performance. Jason Tatum scoring this is putrid. Like Derek White and Jason Tatum should be flipping with their averages of what they're doing, and that would be respectable as to what they can contribute to the team. Like Derek White shouldn't be your leading scorer on a given night. I'm glad that Jaylen Brown has stepped up and has had some 30-point performances for us.
He's been playing well.
But
Yes.
like honestly, Brown has been your more consistent player in these past playoffs. Like the past 3 now. He's been the more consistent guy.
Which is crazy because all people think about is, oh, Jaylen Brown has no left hand. Oh, Jaylen Brown did this. Like,
which is still a fault. And I do blame him for that because I think that his defense can sometimes be lacking and that left hand is really, really bad because like he just seems every time he goes to it, he dribbles off his foot. But you do have to.
That's tough.
But you do have to say with Tatum, he has to figure this out. Like it's like you can't like he can't be the reason that you get knocked out of the playoffs. Like
no.
If that's the reason why you don't win a championship this year, that's a problem.
I don't know if
like if you want to blame it on we ended up facing Denver or we faced against Minnesota and their big mans were just able to overpower us because we didn't have Porzingis down low and Al's old and all this is happening.
The Al's old excuse we can't use that.
No, I know, but if that's the excuse that you end up making, if that was how that played out, okay, I don't want to accept it because I still think that you should beat them any day of the week, but that's its own thing. Jason Tatum not being up to performance is not the reason why you should be left out of these playoffs. That's not a good excuse.
No, definitely not. I mean, he's people say borderline top 10 player. Yeah, he's got to step up, man. You're giving him all this money. I don't know what his contract is, but it's a lot of damn money, man.
Well, Brown,
a lot of money.
Well, Brown's still the highest paid player in the league, but Tatum will be
that's also
Tatum will be following like his next contract. So don't worry.
Oh yeah. Jaylen Brown's highest paid player. Yeah, that's not going to last very long.
No,
there's definitely going to be someone that's going to overtake him on that one.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, so
we'll see.
I'm just pulling up some things right now because I want to have like my stats correct for this. But as we kind of move forward, and I know that you mentioned that there's not really a team in the East that you think can pose a threat, but one team in the West that is really starting to catch my eye now, and I think everyone's eye is the Minnesota Timberwolves, and that's just due to the fact that Anthony Edwards has just been the guy lately. He had like what 43 points in like a couple nights ago.
Something like that. It's crazy.
He's been playing out of his mind. Everyone's making
Dude is unbelievable.
everyone's making the Michael Jordan comparison, saying that he's his long lost son from when MJ was on his how should I say it lately? Escapades with the Wizards.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're saying he's his long lost son, and MJ's always said like, yeah, I think they probably got one son in the NBA, and everyone always thought it was Jimmy Butler, but now
I know.
people are trying to say maybe it's Anthony Edwards, because they ended up saying that he essentially has the Mamba mentality. I saw this in like a TikTok, and they said that he is the Mamba mentality that Kobe has, but he does it with a smile on his face, which is terrifying because he's going to go out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Cause he's going to go out and just like dominate you, but he's going to be smiling the entire time and laughing in your face, which is honestly kind of sometimes a little bit more scary than just Kobe just going out there, just straight face the entire time. If the guy's laughing at you as he's just completely dog walking you, that's something to
crazy.
Yeah. It's kind of nuts.
That guy is he's like so talented, man. Like Anthony Edwards is such a fun player to watch.
Yeah.
Such a fun guy. He really funny guy. We were talking about on my show if he's going to be the next face of the league. Yeah. I think it's definitely possible.
Definitely possible. I mean, with definitely the way he's playing right now, it's more than likely, I think. I mean, if that can happen in a city like Minnesota, I mean, we saw it happen with Kevin Garnett with him and how he took over that city. So
it's possible.
Who knows?
For sure.
But I mean, that team, man, is really interesting. The fact that you have the two big men down low in Cat and Gobert, which when that originally started, I had my doubts on how that would work. It has worked to perfection.
I did not believe that was going to work.
No, you have Anthony Edwards, and then the a saying a quote that has lived that has kind of like worked out like very well, and a lot of people made fun of this at the time, was when Anthony Edwards was on a radio show and he was responding to people talking about like having a face off against Kevin Durant, and his response was, yeah, well, they have Kevin Durant, but we have Jaden McDaniels.
That's a funny clip I see in like some edits.
Yeah, I've been seeing that all the time. It's awesome. So I mean, they're loaded. They're a young core. You could make some similarities to the Celtics in just terms of like how they've kind of, brought up their team, where the fact that now they have this superstar in Edwards to pair with Cat, and they're now just like making their run in the playoffs. Despite like their inexperience, do you think that they could realistically pose a threat to Boston if they were to meet up in the finals?
If they keep playing like this, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, that this is the best I've ever seen them play. And even in the regular season, the games between those two were very close. I know I almost went to a game against the Timberwolves. I really should have pulled the trigger on the tickets there, but decided not to. And it was one of the best games of the regular season for the Celtics. So it was like an overtime game, I think. It was either that or just like down to the wire, and the Celtics ended up winning. But it was a battle.
Yeah,
it was a battle with the Timberwolves, and that was back in January. And now like the Timberwolves are playing really well. I mean, up 2-0 on Denver. They won both games in Denver. That's crazy.
They do that after sweeping the Suns, too.
That's crazy. Like,
have they been undefeated now to start the playoffs?
Yeah, they haven't lost.
Jesus.
Yeah. 4-0, 2-0.
That's crazy.
Crazy.
That is nuts. I mean, and the fact that they're doing against the Nuggets, too, of all teams, that's insane. I'll talk about them in just a sec, but I brought up the fact that, like, despite like inexperience and kind of like their youth, I think that's honestly something they might have an advantage on, because the Celtics now, like, they had that going into their series against the Warriors, where my whole thing was, well, you don't know what you don't know. Maybe you can, catch him like sleeping. Maybe you can like kind of make something happen. I think Cat obviously has the experience. Gobert's been around the league now. I think for someone like Anthony Edwards, I don't want to say he's naive, because that makes it seem like he doesn't know what he's doing. But I think the fact that he hasn't faced that pressure yet, I think at this sort of a level, it helps him probably in the fact that he's not like thinking about like, oh, this like these are the stakes of this game. Like, this is going to mean so much. And I think that he's just going out and playing ball right now, which is probably the best thing for him.
Yeah, he's having fun out there, man. I also want to mention Mike Conley, veteran.
Oh my God.
Great locker room guy. Great guy to have on your team. I know he's older. I think he's like 35, but he's still playing good ball, and he's definitely helped them for sure. 100%.
As we were mentioning as we had kind of mentioned, you had brought up that Nikola Jokic just won his third MVP.
Yep.
They are now down to 0-2 in the series against the Wolves.
Going to Minnesota.
Yeah, going to Minnesota.
Yep.
J- um, Jamal Murray kind of seems to have his own issues going on with the team now, despite like although he threw like a heating pad and stuff on the floor.
Yeah, he got fined for that.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm surprised that he didn't get suspended for it, but I think based on the fact that it was the playoffs, they were light on him for that.
Yeah.
Um,
That's exactly why. And he's a star player.
exactly
why.
because people were trying to make a comparison to when the Heat suspended Dwayne Dedman, but I'm like, that's Dwayne Dedman.
Bro,
Like,
you cannot. No, come on. No,
I
get
saw
out of
I
here.
literally saw
Dwayne Dedman. Oh,
I saw an ESPN comp and I was like, that is ridiculous. But I mean, do you think that the Nuggets can come back in this series?
I think it's possible. Unlikely. Very unlikely.
Yeah.
I just down 0-2 like that. If they didn't lose game 2 by 20 something points without Gobert, I would say yes. But Denver's bench is suffering compared to last year. Bruce Brown, no one really realized how big of an impact that guy had until he left.
Yeah.
Their best player off their bench, Reggie Jackson, maybe. Christian Brown, maybe.
Yeah.
Like I mean, you also lost Jeff Green too. I know he's old, but Jeff Green contributed like
he's an impact
6
player.
to 8 points off the bench. Like he can knock down a 3 or 2, here and there.
Mm-hmm.
He's a huge guy, and they lost those guys, and it shows.
Mm-hmm. One thing I guess you could say is like the other side of the of like the youth and inexperienced coin is that something that this could be similar to is if you remember the Boston Celtics when they went up 2-0 on the Cavs. I think it was in like the Eastern Conference playoffs a couple of years prior.
I hated that series.
Everyone thought, wow, like this might be the year the Celtics get LeBron, and they completely flipped the script and won the series. So
true. That was such a gut punch losing that series, man.
Mm-hmm.
Still to this day, I wish that we won that. That was the one where Tatum dunked on LeBron.
Yeah. So like that could be that's the other side of that coin to where you think that they have the opportunity to like really run away with it and then they don't. So there's two sides to every coin. And like, that's probably the other side of it too, where Jokic wakes up and he says, all right, let's play serious. Jamal Murray finds his groove and they go out and they steamroll him. Now, do I think that's going to happen? Not really, because I think that they have more veteran experience than that Celtics team did. And without like the depth that you were mentioning, I think that puts Denver in a bit of a hole.
I mean, Jamal Murray's also playing hurt for sure. He had like a calf strain or something going into the playoffs. Or going into one of the Lakers series games, man, he's definitely playing hurt. Dude.
Every time I'm hearing
so efficient, bro.
I gotta say this is like a little tangent, but every time I hear people talking about calf strain, I'm like, it's his Achilles. It's just gonna.
God, I know,
because I just get PTSD to Kevin Durant. That's all. That's what happens every single time.
I was worried when I saw Porzingis' injury.
Yep,
I was definitely worried.
Luckily,
I was like, oh God, not contact.
I do know,
area.
Yeah, because they did come out and they said like what the exact thing was. They didn't just say calf strain. Like I think I have to look into it, but they did like say like the exact muscle that he pulled or whatnot. So
well, Giannis's was a calf strain.
Yeah,
his was like the same thing.
Yeah, but every time I hear about calf strain, I'm like, oh my goodness. So it's tough. But I see you kind of sweating it over there. We'll talk about that.
Bruins game is on right now. They almost just scored, but. Yeah, I know. I'm trying to watch it.
Well, I mean, I guess like this was kind of the end of our NBA segment. So like I was gonna save NHL for the end, but we can talk about the Bruins since they're on. So
I mean, I'm going to game 2 tomorrow, so they better win.
Yeah,
Celtics better win tomorrow because I don't want any more franchise record for threes in game 2.
No, we don't need that.
I hope they can win. I'm not gonna say like, oh, like, yeah, they're gonna win. It's not gonna be easy. And but I don't know. I'm excited to watch them for the rest of the playoffs. I think they can do it. This team is been playing really well. I think they can do it. But NHL, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you have any like lead off topics or anything. I
really don't. I mean, I was more just going to talk about how the Celtics almost blew that last series against the Maple Leafs. We were up 3-1. And very similarly to our season last year, it almost came crashing down. And thankfully, David Pastrnak was able to save it and send us on to the second round.
That was beautiful. That goal, beautiful, man.
It was awesome. That. I mean, I watched all of Game 7.
So hype.
I was sweating that so bad.
Oh my gosh, I was like, dude, if we lose to the Maple Leafs, man, no way. Like the Maple Leafs have to be cursed. I don't know. Like Maple Leafs haven't won a playoff series against the Bruins in like I don't know, like 30, 40 years.
Yeah.
More than that. It's ridiculous.
It's pretty brutal for them. And I hate to do this because I hate talking about hockey on the show because as soon as I talk about the Bruins, I swear to God, just something bad happens. Because like They had their historic season last year. And I was like, well, it's big enough sports news, the fact that they had the best regular season in history. I was like, I guess I got to give the boys props. So I mentioned the Bruins, and then they proceed to have that choke job against the Florida Panthers last year. And
they're playing them right now.
I know, which is why I'm even more terrified to talk about this.
Except they're on the other end of the stick this time. Florida is the higher seed.
I know.
They won game 1 in Florida on what is it? What is today? I'm losing track of days. What, Wednesday?
Yeah, well, today's Wednesday.
So Monday night, they won game 1 5-1. Dominant performance.
No, I did catch that. They played.
Swayman's playing out of his mind right now.
Yeah, well,
that's the only reason why they were why they won.
Well, and that's the whole controversy too with him, is the fact that the entire year they were doing the goalie platoon, but the fact that Swayman's just been so hot, they
just keep him in there.
Yeah, well, because that's usually what you do when you have a hot goalie. But they decided this year, they were like, oh, we're just gonna like alternate guys every night. It doesn't matter who has the hot hand or not. We're just gonna do this, and we're gonna stick to it. And I think they finally got to the point in the Maple Leaf series where they said Swayman is way too hot right now to take him out. I think at this point they're gonna play him until they lose.
Yep.
Like that, that is going to be their strategy.
I don't think Omar's going to play.
Yeah. And like the only chance that they do, maybe they go up like 3-0 on a team. If God forbid they were able to go up 3-0 on the Panthers, I think maybe in like a game 4, you have Omar go in net to like give Swayman some rest. But at this point, like Swayman's playing too well to take him out.
Yeah. I don't know. He's just, the saves he's making, man, it's just unbelievable.
He's been awesome.
It's unbelievable. Like the vision he has to be able to catch some of those pucks is just crazy. I don't know how he does it.
And the fact that you have
no idea.
And the fact that you have the guy on your bench, Linus Ullmark, who was the Vezina winner last year.
Like it's crazy. They have the best goalies in the league, I think. I mean, I don't know enough about hockey, but that's what I've heard. That's like the general consensus, is that they have the best goalie duo in the league.
Oh, easily it's the best duo. But
which is crazy that you could switch out goalies and still have like a top tier goalie. But I don't know, man.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people are talking about the Panthers too, because at their goaltender Bobrovsky, he's been playing awesome this year. I know the Bruins have had some success against him in the past. Primarily, I know in 2019 when we faced off against him when he was on Columbus. I remember
I've seen this guy before. I've definitely seen this guy.
Yeah,
Bobrovsky. Yeah,
because he used to be on Columbus, and during our 2019 Cup run to try to get the Cup, we faced off against him, and I remember. In game 2, I went to game 2 at the Garden. And
really?
It was insane, double overtime. Columbus won, but it was still a fun game to go to.
Brutal.
Because guys were just scoring left and right in that game. It was such a fun game.
Place must have been rocking.
It was awesome.
Yeah,
and
that's awesome.
Yeah, like so I know that they've had success against him in the past, being able to get over a couple series and do stuff like that. Especially also having 4 I think in season wins against them this year. So. They went
4-0 against Florida this year.
Yeah. So they've had their success against this team, but now it's just a question, can you close out in the playoffs? Because they were up 3-1 last year, and kind of almost similar to the Maple Leafs. They did choke that away. And
that's so painful.
And I've had some, I know that there have been some gripes with Montgomery, the fact that he's kind of lacked the ability to go in on the guys and have that harsher edge with them, because when he first came in, he was all like hunky dory and he was like, oh, we're all just going to love each other and it's going to be perfect. But I think after the reality set in that they, went out as horribly as they did last year, I think he decided to become more of a hard ass, which this team needs, but they don't respect that type of authority and they just don't answer to it, which really sucks and is a much larger issue. But yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, last year when something like that happens to you, like you got to respond. And I think they've responded pretty well. The expectations were not as high this year.
Yeah.
Obviously they lost Bergeron. They lost a couple other guys. But I'm excited to see what else happens in the rest of the playoffs. I mean, everyone was betting against them. Everyone picked Florida and they're up 1-0. So I don't know. Florida's got a power play right now, which is not good.
Yeah,
but
we'll end up seeing how this goes. But that's kind of our little NHL minute. Yeah. We'll see before the end of the show if the bad karma strikes again and Florida scores here. Because I
got the game on my phone here.
Yeah,
I'm watching it. Second power play for Florida game.
Jesus. All right, so let's get off the NHL topic before I curse.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about NHL.
All right, so as we close up the show, I do want to talk about some NFL news because I haven't done a show I think since March 28th. It has been a
It's been
while.
that long.
Yeah, man. I've been in just such a grind with school.
That's
I
crazy.
haven't done a
That's
show
fair.
in
Yeah, I
over a
mean,
month. It's been that bad.
been a busy last month, you know.
But
Yeah.
one of the things I definitely wanted to talk about was the NFL draft, especially the Patriots selecting their next franchise quarterback and Drake Maye with the number 3 pick. Uh, I mean, going into camp right now, Gerard Mayo is flat out said that it is going to be a competition. He has not earned the job. Like, he is going to have to fight for this. And if Jacoby's the better quarterback, he's going to play. So I don't know what you're thinking. Like, do you think that Drake Maye has a shot to win this job out of camp, or do you think that they're going to go with Brissett regardless?
I think that they should go with Brissett. I think there's a chance that he wins it out for sure. I mean, if this kid plays out of his mind in camp, then I mean, might as
Go
well
for
give him
it.
a chance, right? But I just don't like. I'm not really a huge fan of the idea of throwing a guy out there, kind of like what we did with Mac Jones. Like,
Yeah.
it's it's taking a gamble. Like, yeah, okay, Texans and CJ Stroud. That's just a by chance that happens. It's not gonna happen every time.
And it worked out great.
I mean, we saw what happened with Zach Wilson. Look where he ended up. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? That's just it's the best of both worlds here. And it's I don't know. Like I like the Jacoby Brissett signing. I really do. I was calling for it to happen, and it actually did happen. And I like it. I think he's gonna start week 1. I don't know when May's gonna play. He's definitely gonna be play this season though, for sure.
Yeah.
At some point.
I mean, so before people like crucify me for like what I'm going to say, like
Oh no.
I don't want people to I don't want people to end up going like to be like, I'm not saying that Drake Maye is going to become Patrick Mahomes or something of that level. But what I think the Patriots should do is they should follow the model that the Chiefs did with bringing Patrick Mahomes into the league, which was sit him behind a experienced veteran and Alex Smith,
I like
have
that.
him play a garbage game at the end of the year if, whatever happens. Like, if we like, I don't think we're going to be in playoff contention next year. I don't believe that's going to be the case.
That's something the fans have to realize is it takes a little bit for the QB to develop.
Yeah.
Like I said, Houston is a rare case with CJ Stroud. It's not going to happen every time.
So I don't think we're gonna be in playoff contention next year. I just don't believe that's gonna
I
happen.
think it's possible, but if
But-
if everything goes our way, I don't think that's really the goal though.
No, I don't.
You know?
I don't think it is. But if I have to look at it, I think that you have Jacoby go the year, you get him to like whatever, like the last week of the year, throw May in for a couple plays, see how he does. And you do, and like, cause that's what the Chiefs did with Mahomes. They put him in, I think, for like one kind of throwaway game at the end of like his rookie year. Really didn't do anything. And then his next year, they started against the Chargers, went out and just completely balled out. And I think that's what you have to do is you get him a little bit of game experience at the end, get him comfortable, get his feet wet, and then have him hit the ground running in a year 2. Because when I'm looking at Drake Maye, he is the antithesis of Mac Jones.
Let's go. Bruin
Okay.
scored.
Glad you were listening to my spiel, Chris. Glad you were listening to my whole spiel. That's awesome.
Sorry, it just no. I am listening to you. It's they got these new effects where it just says goal around like the whole place, even though it's not their home.
You're a child.
And there you go.
That's awesome. No, but I was gonna say, so I think that Drake Maye is the antithesis of Mac Jones, to where Mac Jones, when we drafted him and the Patriots said this is going to be our quarterback, they went in with the mindset of his mental acuity and like his ability to be a quote cerebral quarterback will be better than just having physical traits and having a rocket arm. We can teach him how to throw it to the right guys and he'll be able to learn our playbook and we'll be fine with that. I think after learning that Mac Jones unfortunately failed as a leader, had issues in the locker room, and couldn't complete the deep ball, and just physically couldn't compete at the level in New England. They said, all right, we are going to do the exact opposite of that. We are going to draft a guy that is just a pure athlete, which is what Drake Maye is. Because I think that if you watch his college tape, there's a lot of things that are unpolished about him, which was part of my concerns with him coming into the league. It was the fact that I think when the play was breaking down, he got get a little bit reckless. I know one of the highlights that they keep showing of him, which I think is stupid, is him throwing a left-handed touchdown as the defenders are closing in on him. And I'm like,
yeah, I don't know about that one.
And I'm like, that's not necessarily a highlight play. Cool. Like, you got the touchdown. Like, that's awesome for your team. But in college, like that, you might get screwed for that. Like, I know like one of the plays too, like he's getting tackled to the ground and he's like throwing the ball. He's like trying to complete a pass.
Oh no, that sounds like Mac Jones. No,
So
we don't need to do that.
It's stuff like that where I'm like, he's literally getting pulled down for a sack and he like flips the ball to the running back and it was a great play. And I'm like, in college, that works. In the NFL, that's either a
It's not
pick six or that's a fumble or something bad is happening on that play.
Mhm.
So I think that, the upside of it is you see a guy like Patrick Mahomes who completes all these like fancy little dink and dunk passes and he makes like all these crazy
Yeah, the
plays.
little
If
yeah.
that's what you could get to out of that, that's awesome. But I am afraid that this could be like the Patrick Mahomes effect on what you're seeing with college quarterbacks now, where they're like, oh, well, I need to make all these fancy little plays. That's not necessarily what I want to see. What I know with Drake May is that he can complete passes to all three levels of the field. He has a rocket arm and he's mobile. So and he's also a built quarterback too, because everyone's
Mm.
doing these Josh Allen comps. It's not really like that, but he is more built than Mac Jones was.
People love to compare new quarterbacks to past ones, don't they?
Yes.
Yeah. Feels like it happens every year with the draft, but
Well, I mean,
I don't know.
that's what comps are for. It's like so that
Yeah.
way teams can know what you're getting in a guy, like at least what he's going to be similar to.
Yeah, no. I'm talking about like the like physical structure of the
Oh
like,
yeah,
oh, like this guy looks like Josh Allen, or like, oh, like this guy runs like I'm like just like you can like play style comparisons. All right, I see that, but like physicality comparisons, man, like
not really.
I don't think it really matters. But
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, I think they did really well in the draft as a whole. Very excited. It's almost like a new era in New England.
yeah.
Um, but
Because the main
yeah,
concern I have right now is I'm gonna have to see how does our offensive draft look without Bill Belichick? Because Bill Belichick, it got brought up during the roast of Tom Brady that
oh god,
his last offensive Pro Bowler that he drafted was Rob Gronkowski in 2010. That was his last offensive Pro Bowler,
ugh,
which is
not great.
that's not great. So we obviously went out. We got Jalen Polk. We got
Forgot the other dude's name, the other receiver's name.
I'm I'm so unprepared right
Oh
now.
man, yeah, no, I forgot the other guy's name.
I will find it one sec.
And then we got the that dude Milton, the other QB. That's an interesting pick. I didn't know. I mean, people were saying he could play tight end.
Javon Baker.
Okay,
I could,
yeah, that's
I was
his name.
thinking
Yeah,
Walker, but I couldn't think of it for a second.
yeah,
So
yeah.
Javon Baker, the guy who said who said, quote, I make people in wheelchairs stand up. That is an actual
Oh
quote
yeah, I
by
was
him.
like, yeah, no, that was him. Okay, I was trying to think who said that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just couldn't think of his name. I knew it wasn't Polk who said that. I knew it was the other guy.
And
Yeah,
I gotta say too, I actually really like the Joe Milton pickup because
interesting.
well, now what that's going to be is they're going to say like, okay, either Bailey Zappi or Joe Milton is making this football team.
Cut Bailey Zappi, please.
So I think
As much as like the hype was there for a little bit, cut him, please.
that's where they're at right now because I think they're saying, all right, either it's going to be Milton or Zappi, and they're going to fight for that number 3 spot.
He did so bad at the end of the season last year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I actually was at the final game in Gillette.
Mhm.
I went with a couple of friends who got tickets somehow. And the snow was coming down, yeah, but Zappy looked so bad out there, man. He was running for his life all the time. And
Yeah.
he was against the Jets,
Oh, geez.
mind you. The like injury riddled Jets.
Yeah.
Zappy had his chance. I don't think there's much there.
No, and I mean Joe Milton is pretty hilarious as a quarterback because I don't know if you've ever watched him.
I haven't, but I've heard about him.
Well,
People say he's pretty funny though.
Yeah, well, because the thing is, like, I mean, he's a very athletic guy. Like one of his crazy passes is like he connects on like this 70-yard dot and then he does like a backflip. This isn't like a practice, but like he did this and it's like, oh, like this dude's kind of awesome. But the problem with him is like
Pretty cool.
Going into his senior year, a lot of people thought, oh, this could be a guy that could really step up in the draft and become one of these high profile quarterbacks. But the issue with him is that he just has no control. And like one of the best quotes I saw for him was was that if you need 70 yards, Joe Milton can give you 70 yards. If you need 20 yards, Joe Milton can give you 70 yards. And just like
he's got a hell of an arm, but he's got no control.
He is going to air that thing out every single time he's out there. So, I mean, God forbid, I guess if you ever need like a Hail Mary play at the end of the game and you don't really trust
I was just
Maye,
thinking that. Yeah.
Roll him out there and just say, all right, everyone fly routes. Like Joe is going to chuck this thing up there from the 30.
Screw it.
Good
Someone's
luck
out there somewhere.
No, because like I think that's genuinely what he might just be used for. They might say, all right, yeah, oh, we need a Hail Mary from our own 20-yard line. All right, go for it, guys. Joe's going to find you down there.
That's awesome. I want to see them do that at least once. That's awesome.
I just want to see him air it out once. Because from what I've heard, he's just got a monster arm.
He might be able to get a chance, man. You never know. You never know what
Yeah.
can happen. Injuries happen, man.
Well, I'm seeing people are
Something
I'm
I don't
seeing
know.
I'm seeing
I don't
people
know.
are already say like, oh, he's gonna be the next Taysom Hill. They're gonna turn him into a tight end. I'm like, that is not his game, but
Someone told me
okay.
that as soon as we drafted him, and I was just like, really? And I checked the comments, and people were like, and then like I guess some reports said that they were that was
No,
not going to
that
be the
is
plan.
not the case.
I was like, he can play tight end, but he's not going to be. That's not their plan for him. It's like that's it. It's like, why would you draft a QB to play tight end? Like
No.
that's weird. I don't
Well, I
know.
mean, that's why did the Patriots draft a QB to play wide receiver as Julian Edelman?
You're right. You're right. Okay, but that's also a rare occurrence right there. But,
Yeah, fair enough.
I don't know, but
But I did think that was kind of interesting. But before we go, so we talked a little bit about Drake May and how he's going to wind up in New England.
great pick by the way. I forgot to mention great pick. I think that was the right pick right there.
I
I
think
don't.
so too.
I think so.
I mean, I kind of wanted Jaden Daniels more.
Well, but yeah, I mean, but he wasn't there. I
I
don't know.
know.
I was thinking either May or Daniels, whoever was available.
Mhm.
That was where I was kind of standing on it.
That's kind of how I felt
But
as well.
you
But
know,
so there were obviously some other major QB picks throughout that draft. Yeah,
I already know what you're about to say.
Well, what?
Penix.
Well, obviously that's going to be the big one.
Kirk
That
Cousins is losing it,
he
man.
is pissed
I would
right
be
now.
pissed if I was him too, man. They
I
gave him
mean,
all this money.
well, at the same time though, like like people don't realize that yeah, Kirk Cousins signed it was like it was a 4-year contract worth like I forget like what they said like what was it? Like 90 something million
They're
or
giving him
like
100 million guaranteed, I think. Something like that.
yeah.
Around there.
So it's technically a 4-year deal, but most of the money is upfront in those first 2 years. And then after that, there's like a bunch of like exceptions and stuff. And you can cut
Yeah.
a lot. If they decided to cut Kirk Cousins, they could do that, save a lot of money, and then theoretically go to Penix. I think that's what their plan is.
That's crazy. Think about you might just be cut in 2 years regardless of what happens.
Well, because well,
I don't know.
I think his contract is structured so that way if they cut him, they're not really going to lose that money. Like, and it's going to be like dead cap.
Well, he's an older rookie, no? Penix is isn't he like one of the older guys in the class?
I do think so because I think he got a medical year, so I think he fifth yeared.
That's why it's just so interesting to me is that it's not like the guy's like 21.
He's 24.
It seemed yeah, so he's a bit older, so he's got more experience under his belt. It's just kind of interesting how if you compare to like Jordan Love and Rodgers, it's kind of a little different.
Mhm.
Where I mean, well, Green Bay traded up to get to get Love, which was surprising to a lot of people, but I am not really sure what their plan is, but I think Atlanta is going to be a decent team this year. I think they're going to be pretty good. I like Kirk Cousins; he's underrated.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see, but that division is just so bad.
Yeah.
Carolina, Tampa Bay, New Orleans.
Yeah. Well,
Ugh.
that's the thing too.
Ugh.
Well,
So mediocre.
well, that's the kind of the thing that's tougher about Penix being Penix going to a system like Atlanta. It's the fact that he's might have to sit for 1 to 2 years. And at that point, you're entering the league at what might be a rookie year at like 26.
That's why I brought up his age is because people are saying, why did they draft this guy if he's going to be like you said, if he's going to be 26 when he starts? Like, what is? It's like he just wasted years of development. You know what I mean?
Because as a Michigan fan, like
Very interesting.
as a Michigan fan, I even have my concerns about a guy like JJ McCarthy. I don't think he's a first round quarterback.
JJ McCarthy stuff was crazy, dude.
Well, because again, I watched
the rumors, man.
I watched Michigan. I know what JJ McCarthy brings to the table. I don't think that he should have been a first round pick. I don't even think that he should have been. I think that he probably should have been like a third round guy. Like
he wasn't even a first rounder initially until like Harbaugh kept talking him up.
yes,
and then now
he got pushed into that position.
his draft stock went way up, and it was just like, wow. Like, I mean, he was linked to the Patriots at 3, which was the most unbelievable thing I had seen in mock drafts.
I did see that.
I would have been like, I'm done, bro. I'm so done if they draft JJ McCarthy.
The only thing I would have had some solace with is the fact that he does have some very raw ability, and if you wanted to, you could probably do what the Packers did with Jordan Love and sit him for like 2 to 3 seasons and just hope. Because at that point, like it's like, all right, you're gonna essentially throw away a couple years in hoping that this guy can get there. Drake May is also 21 though, so at that point,
True.
you're just deciding who do you like more.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think they made the right choice, but obviously we're gonna have to give everything a chance. It could work, it could not work. All these guys, they could be busts, they could be stars.
Yeah.
You don't know. You
Yeah,
don't know.
Yeah, we are really gonna have to wait and see. Of these guys, who do you think has the highest chance of being a bust out of the guys that we saw out of this recent draft?
All right. This is gonna sound crazy. Caleb Williams.
Okay.
I've always been a doubter of that man.
You've been a hater.
every time I watch that man play, seems like he's got low lights. Like I don't know why. I've never seen that guy play well. Like I know he has. I've seen the stat lines, but the games I watched the game. This guy threw 4 picks in one half against like a not like a decent team.
Yeah.
I was like, this is like y'all's number 1 pick. Seriously? I don't know. That's just I've always been a Caleb Williams doubter. It's probably gonna age poorly, but I think that they should have kept Fields, the Bears. I think they should have. They could have gotten so much value for that number 1 pick.
Yeah.
Like, oh man. I think they should have kept Fields.
Yeah. As much flack I know people were giving the Vikings for taking McCarthy early, I think that the team that's really going to regret their quarterback choice, because I just don't think that they've been able to get it right ever since Peyton Manning's been gone. That's the Denver Broncos with Bo Nix. Bo Nix, I just
Denver's cooked, man.
I don't get it. I really don't. Because I mean, he's got to start from the jump. You can't start Zach Wilson out there.
No. Denver's quarterback room was awful going into the draft.
Bo Nix, Jarrett Stidham, Zach Wilson, and then Ben DiNucci.
Patriots legend, Jarrett Stidham.
Yeah. Their quarterback room is Bo Nix. Awesome. Again, just so I can say it clearly, it's Bo Nix, Jarrett Stidham, Zach Wilson, Ben DiNucci.
That's still bad. That's horrible.
That might be the worst room of all time.
That's horrid. Who's your best player? Like, if you had to start, say they didn't draft Bo Nix, if you had to start someone out of those 3 guys, who would you? If game was tomorrow, who'd you start?
Realistically, Stidham.
Stidham, yeah.
I'd start Stidham.
Stidham's got a heck of an arm, but the guy makes a lot of bad throws, though. Like,
yeah,
a lot of picks and stuff. But he had a couple of really good games when he was in Vegas.
He did.
He impressed me, actually. Ben DiNucci's horrible. That guy is so bad. Zach Wilson, I mean,
he's terrified to play the game.
We've seen it. Oh my God, the Bruins just scored again. Zach Wilson, we've seen him have a good game. I mean, he had a really good game against the Chiefs that one time. I think it was the Chiefs, right? I don't know. I'm trying to think. It was like a really impressive performance. Chiefs, yeah. I was like, maybe he's actually got something in the tank. No. Next week, back to his old self.
He got lit up.
Back to his old self. Tough one. I was like, man, I don't know. But
almost.
I'm excited for the Patriots. I guess like a new era, new season, new coach. I'm excited, man. Really excited.
I mean, they're embracing it too. I know that they were taking down the "Do Your Job" signs around.
I didn't see that because Aiden was talking about that. I actually didn't. I'm surprised I didn't see that.
Yeah,
but yeah,
they're putting up like all new slogans, which a lot of people are mad and they're saying like, oh, you're tarnishing the legacy of Bill Belichick and you're doing this
the Patriot way. Yeah, but you got to leave that in the past.
Well, no, but here's what I'll say about that. I think eventually you do bring it back when Bill Belichick retires, because right now Bill Belichick is still a free agent. I know no other team signed him, but
that's true.
But those were the phrases that he coined. And what, you're going to hang up if he goes to the Cowboys next year, are you still going to have "Do Your Job" signs in the locker room?
The Cowboys.
I'm just throwing out or the wherever he goes. Like, are you still going to want to have those signs in your locker room? Probably not.
It's true. I mean, that was, if you think about that, like that was his era. You know what I mean?
So I think right now that what you're probably going to see is they're going to take down those signs for the time being. And then when Bill Belichick is retired or just out of football or gone, like, I think eventually they'll bring those sayings back and they'll be like, yeah, this was the era of Patriot football. Like, yeah, like, and just embrace it like that. But I don't think that they want to just have this up if Bill Belichick's going to go out and sign with a guy that's going to sign with a team that can beat you in a couple of years.
I don't really have a problem with them taking it down, though.
Yeah,
I don't really have a problem with that. I mean, I feel like most people know that it's like a fresh start. So I don't know. I don't think I have I mean, they just need to. I think it was just time to move on. Almost, it's almost like the Celtics and Marcus Smart. Like, time to move on.
Yeah.
As much as the fans loved it, it's time to move on. You know.
Before we go, did you catch the Brady roast?
I actually didn't know. I didn't know that it was going on until I started looking at Twitter and I saw all these clips. And I don't know how some of these people even got invited to this. Like, why is Kim Kardashian there? It doesn't make any sense.
The only thing I heard was apparently they had her and Tom had some weird dating rumor. So but also
what does she have to do with Tom?
But also it was at the Kia Forum in LA, and there were just tons of celebrities that were there. Like, Dave Chappelle was just in the audience watching. Shane Gillis was there just watching. There were plenty of people
just show up, you know?
Yeah, just to be there and just to see this happen because it was an event going on. So I think that it was just she was probably like, this is a cool thing. My PR team, if they can get me on this, I'll go for it.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. She's always at all these big events, whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't really care for her. But
I have to say, though, I was surprised at how intense and personal the jokes were. Cause I mean,
It was crazy, bro. It was like uncensored, like no filter, bro.
no,
Like they went all out.
no filter.
They went all out. Belichick, Brady, like it was crazy.
Which I didn't expect.
Crazy.
I thought it was going to be very like tongue in cheek and like very and more playful and not like how the other roasts have been. But Kevin Hart and Jeff Ross went out there and they just started swinging, and I was like, okay, it is going to be on. Which was
Dude, it was, man. It was crazy.
Julian Edelman killed. Drew Bledsoe was great. Rob Gronkowski was just himself.
Love that guy. Love that
I
guy.
I would recommend
Straight
watching the whole
comedy,
thing.
man.
It's
I probably will
yeah,
actually.
it's
Actually,
really
I might
funny.
do that either. I don't know about tomorrow or Friday. One of these next 2 days, I got so much free time.
Yeah.
I got to watch it because I really want to see
Yeah.
what these guys. Because I heard for the most part it was very good.
Yeah,
Like it was just hilarious.
There were some parts that were kind of long. Like Burt Kreischer and Tom Segura got up there and they tried to do a bit because like they have that podcast together, the Two Bears podcast. I thought their thing was just kind of like lame. It seemed like overacting.
Mhm.
And then like, there were a couple surprise
feel
guests, and there were a couple surprise guests that you'll probably hear about. Like, I just didn't think they were that great either. Like I thought it was kind of underwhelming in some things, but the people that were scheduled and were up there, I think all killed. I think they were great.
Awesome.
Bill Belichick was a little bit awkward at first, but
He definitely. I saw a clip. He definitely seemed like it. Yeah.
But I will say, like, he seemed awkward, but then he kind of settled in, done, like after a while.
Yeah, I mean that's good. I mean, he doesn't. He's a man of few words, so
Yeah, it's tough for him to go up and do stand-up comedy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It seemed like a cool thing. I'm definitely gonna have to see. Is it on Netflix?
Yeah.
Is that what it is on? Okay.
Yeah, so they premiered it live on Netflix, but now it's up there.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, no, I'm definitely have to look at that for sure. But yeah, no, I mean, it was just a whole, and the reactions out of this, I really don't want to get into like controversial territory here.
No,
What is Giselle has no right to be speaking on this. I'm just gonna say that right now. She has no right to be speaking on that. She didn't like that after what she did.
Yeah, that's
no
crazy.
Right. Absolutely no right to be speaking on that.
Yeah, that is.
Come on, man.
Yeah,
like that's crazy. Like she took offense to it. Oh, okay.
Great.
Yeah. Oh, okay. How do you cheat on Tom Brady, bro? How?
It just
How?
If Tom Brady can get cheated on,
oh my gosh,
no guy,
no one's safe.
No one is safe if
No
Tom
one's
Brady
safe.
can get cheated on. He's the greatest at all time at what he does. Still won't keep the girl.
That's just crazy to me. Like he makes so much money. Like
it's unreal.
It's like what is
it's
this?
Unreal.
Oh man.
But yeah. All right, man.
Yeah,
well, I do just want to say I did want to touch on that briefly, but yeah, Chris, we are unfortunately now down to the wire. Okay. So we're gonna do a brief run through of our show and send you guys on your way. First things first, if you are not following Down to the Wire at this point, make sure you guys go follow us on our streaming platforms. We are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. And you can also find updates about the show on our Instagram at down.tothewire. So go follow us on there. On radio, we are available on WJMF 88.7 HD2 Smithfield, Providence, or available live at WJMFradio.com. Again, schedule's all been all over the place, so going to have to see how that works out. But Chris, we opened up the show with some Bryant basketball news, talking about Raf Pinzone and Earl Timberlake coming back to school. We talked about the Celtics Game 1 win over the Cavs, and realistically, if there are any teams that can challenge them going forward in the playoffs. We talked about Anthony Edwards and the Timberwolves just being on an absolute tear, going up 2-0 on the Nuggets. We talked about like if they could potentially be a threat to the team as well. In NFL news, we talked about Drake Maye, and whether we think that he can win the job out of camp for the New England Patriots. And we ended the show kind of talking about the roast of Tom Brady, as well as future QB, future NFL rookies. So it was a great show, Chris. I was glad to have you on.
Thank you for having me on, man. Appreciate it. End of the year. Glad to get one more of these in before the summer. Had a lot of stuff to talk about. So thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Heading into the fall too, make sure to go follow Chris's show at the Dog Talk.
Yeah. I mentioned it on my other show. We might be having a second showtime either every week or every other week where we do kind of like we have like a guest on for whoever it is, like an athlete, like a friend, something like that. Kind of like we used to do. It's almost like splitting it up where we kind of just have a little talk show and then the rest of it we have like an interview. Because we had a couple of really, really cool guys on last year. We had Doug on our show last year. We had Mike Marshall, track and field athlete, on our show, and a couple other athletes. That it was really fun talking to them. So no, I mean, Brian, if you're around, man, you got to get on a show. I don't know if you've been on before.
I think I've like had a couple like Like I think I've stopped in
maybe
like
once. I don't know.
I don't think I've actually been on like an official show. I think I've just sometimes like opened the door like
Yeah.
during it, and I've just like slid into a couple shows and done like 15 minutes. I don't think I've actually done a full show.
Yeah, man. I mean, if you're around, you said that you might still be here in the fall at some point.
Well, I'll be here. I'll be here through August of 2025. So I'm gonna be
Oh, so you're
around.
gonna be here the whole year. Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
I'm gonna be
Okay, yeah. I
around.
was gonna say, yeah. Well, I'll be here the whole year, obviously. So I'll definitely have to get you on. I mean, we just didn't have many guests on this year.
No, for sure.
So yeah, but definitely I'll definitely get you on an episode next year.
Yeah,
So,
I'll hit
yeah.
you up too to get you
So,
back on this.
oh,
So
for sure. Maybe we'll be talking about the Celtics championship. Maybe I don't know. Hopefully,
God, I hope so. I need another parade, man. I need it bad.
I've never been to one, so I need to go, man.
I went to
If they win, I'm canceling all my plans. I'm heading straight to Boston.
I
I Bruins or Celtics. Doesn't matter.
I went to the New England Patriots parade my senior year of high school, and
That's awesome.
it was a time of my life. I
That's
need
awesome.
to go experience that again. So I really hope they can pull it out this year.
Oh, I'm going straight up there if they win, man.
Mhm.
Canceling work, calling out sick.
That's awesome.
I've been so. But we'll see. Praying that it happens. If it doesn't, it's not the end of the world. It's just sports at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But man, I would love it. I would love it.
Me too.
So,
All right, man. Well, from Down to the Wire, I'm Brian Costa.
and I'm Chris Dring.
And we hope you guys have had a great time enjoying this show. We will talk to you guys later. Take care. Peace out.